More than a month into the war in Gaza, as we discuss the important daily news developments on the ground, we want to address some misconceptions and contested beliefs that have taken hold in the discourse. Here, for example, is former Secretary of State Hilary Clinton last week.
Israel left Gaza in 2005 and forcibly ejected 50,000 Israelis who were living in Gaza. They left all of their infrastructure. They had a big infrastructure of greenhouses where they were supplying fruits, vegetables, flowers, etc. And the Palestinians deserved to have a productive, successful economy in Gaza. Hamas came in and basically destroyed all of that.
Now, Clinton claimed there 50,000 Israeli settlers were ejected from Gaza in September 2005. That is not correct. According to the Times of Israel, the number was 8,000. In fact, the Anti-Defamation League also said the number was close to 8,000. And then there's the notion that Israel left Gaza in 2005. Yes, Israel removed 8,000 settlers from there, and Israel did remove its military installations, but Palestinians still did not control their skies or their waters. Just a few years before, in 2000, in response to the Second Palestinian Intifada or uprising, Israel actually cracked down on Gaza. Reuters then reported, quote, one casualty was Gaza's international airport, the Palestinians' only direct link to the outside world that was not controlled by Israel or Egypt. Israel deemed it a security threat and destroyed its radar antenna and runway a few months after the September 11th, 2001 attacks. Another casualty was Gaza's fishing industry, a source of income for tens of thousands of Palestinians. Gaza's fishing zones, reduced by Israel, a restriction it said was necessary to stop boats smuggling weapons. And according to a 2004 Human Rights Watch report on the imminent disengagement plan, as it was known, quote, in addition to controlling the borders, coastline, and airspace, Israel will continue to control Gaza's telecommunications, water, electricity, and sewage networks, as well as the flow of people and goods into and out of the territory. Gaza will also continue to use Israeli currency. In an opinion piece Secretary Clinton wrote for The Atlantic this week, she repeatedly claimed that it has been Hamas that have stood in the way of any kind of permanent peace deal with Israel. But 10 years ago, former President Jimmy Carter had a much different understanding of the situation, that Hamas was in fact open to a two-state solution with Israel, but it was Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu who had unequivocally made up his mind on a one-state solution controlled by Israel. Watch.
Can any deal be done that doesn't involve sitting across a table with Hamas?
I've met several times with Hamas leadership, and I think they are willing to accept Israel to exist peacefully within the 67 borders or some modification of those borders. Netanyahu now, I believe, has decided unequivocally to move to a one-state solution, which every one of his predecessors in the prime ministership have condemned as a disaster for Israel. And I think Israel is now moving toward a disaster for itself and insisting that all the way from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea has to be Israeli controlled. That is a mistake.
And let's address one more claim made by Secretary Clinton.
Remember, there was a ceasefire on October 6th that Hamas broke by their barbaric assault on peaceful civilians.
The secretary is absolutely correct in calling Hamas's October 7th terrorist attacks barbaric. But according to the United Nations, prior to the October 7th attack, just in 2023 alone, some 237 Palestinians were killed as a result of confrontations between Palestinians and Israelis in the context of the occupation. It's true, Hamas broke the ceasefire on October 7th, but there was not a true ceasefire in the region beforehand. Let's be honest about that. There have also been times when Israel broke ceasefires. In 2008, for example, the IDF broke a ceasefire with a raid in the Gaza Strip that killed 6. In 2012, according to Israeli peace activist Gershon Baskin, the Israeli military assassinated Hamas's leader Ahmed Jabari because, or while, he was considering a draft of a truce agreement. And days later, after another ceasefire was announced, the Israeli military shot dead a Palestinian man and wounded 15 at the Gaza border. Of course, Secretary Clinton is not the only current or former official who has failed to acknowledge the full complexity of historical events that have led to this current moment. But as we cover and will continue to cover this war, it is important that we do so with the appropriate set of facts.